If you've ever wanted to see the world's easiest trading strategy, and in fact, one of the better ones from a success standpoint, stick around. That is what we are going to be talking about today. Today is all about Frank, which is what I call the particular strategy we're going to be looking at today. Thank you for being here. I am Pepper. This is the Godly Trading. Where's my bad thing at? There's the Godly Trading live trading room. It's Friday. Let's dive in with our verse of the day. I love this in a couple of different translations. This is Colossians 3:17. And forgive me, I don't have a microphone in front of me. Forgive me, I don't remember how to make this thing larger. But anyway, Colossians 3:17 says, "And whatever you do in word or in deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." Now, I was reading, and through what you're seeing here is all the different versions of this, different translations. I love the New Living. I had a preacher once tell me that a lot of translations are word for word. The New Living is a thought for thought translation. Anyway, this one says, "And whatever you do or say, do it as a representative of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father." So does that include trading? Well, it says everything. Does everything include trading? Yes. So as you trade, do it as if you are the representative of Jesus here on earth, set to trade, and you're giving thanks through him to God. So that, just think about that as you trade. It will change your entire perspective on trading when you think about it that way. We are here to do a job, and our job is to glorify him in everything that we do. And if money comes as a byproduct of that, that is up to him. Our job is to be obedient. So with that, I wanted to take a deep dive today into the strategy that I call Frank. Where is that? And the reason I call it Frank, okay, I'm going to show you just how old I am. This is actually slightly older than me. Way back in the early 80s, late 70s, Saturday Night Live, which hasn't been funny since the early 70s, late 80s. You know what I mean? Had this bit on their weekend update. The dictator of Spain's name was General Francisco Franco. So he hung on to life forever. And ever right, or so I'm told, on the news, like, oh, well, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still alive. So then after he died, Chevy Chase is like, well, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. So it started off that, no one understood it. And I said, you know what, dead simple, Frankenforest. So today we're going to talk about how you, watching this right here, can trade the Frank strategy for yourself. I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. Before I get there, something popped up today in the Bob strategy I need to show you. And this is a critical element of your trade plan. One of the things we teach when it comes to developing a trade plan is, hey, step one in what we're going to do is we're going to develop a system that just breaks even. If you can get to break even, and it doesn't take but one or two tweaks to make it a fully functional, fully profitable system. One of those tweaks is, hey, now that we've got a break-even system, how can we reduce the size of our losses? There's other steps that we take to try to avoid the losses in the first place. But once we're in a trade, what can we do to reduce the size of that loss so that our average win is higher than our average loss? Bob has, as it's one of its components, this thing you see at the bottom of the chart here. This is called the braid filter. And I have gone blurry. Y'all excuse me. I don't have my producers over there playing Call of Duty. Anyway, one of the rules I have in place, if this indicator that I have at the bottom of my screen that you can't see because I'm not sharing my screen, because I don't have a producer, because my producer's playing Call of Duty. He's like, what? Me? What? Yeah, I'm talking about you. Sorry. Hey. All right, let's try that again, shall we? Play Rivals. You know, honestly, I don't know what it is he screams in the middle of the night, and it's like, oh, he was playing Five Nights at Freddy's and like freaking out over teddy bears. Anyway, not doing that. This indicator you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, it helps confirm the direction of the trade. Well, if it happens to flip the other way while I'm in a trade, I'm out. I take my losses, I take whatever I've got and I get out. So in this case, I got in up here. This is, what is this?
This is Kiwi Swiss. I got it up here on, I can't even read that, guys. Okay. Do I need bifocals if I have to put reading glasses on top of my regular glasses? Hey, I'm glad you asked that, Zach, because I'm about to show you how you can do it on your very own. But anyway, let me just blow through this real quick. I got into this last week. Today, my man indicator flipped from green to red, and I got out. Boom, I'm out. Now, yeah, this was a $500 loss as opposed to a $1,000 loss. Could it turn around and head back up again? Sure. But this is how you minimize your losses. Find a way to get out early when those things are low. All right, enough about Bob. Back to Frank. So one of the things that I'm sort of hampered with, this is Frank. One of the things I'm hampered with in my prop account is that I'm limited in what I can put on the screen. So even though Match Trader, this prop account is City Traders Imperium. They're out of Dubai. I've used them before. I like them. Would I recommend them? I can't recommend things or YouTube will delete my channel. But this is who I've got my money with. Because I'm an American, I can't use MT5 with them for reasons we don't go into. Match Trader. Well, Match Trader has sort of a TradingView light platform, which means what down says I can't give it my Frank custom indicator. Can't put it on there. So I basically got to recreate it. So let me tell you guys what makes up Frank. Let me find an empty chart. You're looking at that. By the way, this is my oil trade. I missed my exit by $0.015, which is fine. It's not annoying. It's just funny. All right, let's go to gold. So Frank is 2 moving averages. They're both whole moving average. The HMA. I like the HMA. One of the main reasons I like the HMA is because it changes colors. It changes colors most of the time. But on the free version, it's available on TradingView. This is one that I've made myself or I've found and tweaked. And anyway, it's just a line. So this is a 45. This is a 200. So I can recreate Frank over here. And then what I do is, all right, I'm looking for an engulfing candle. And the rule is, for anybody who wants to trade Frank, the rule is simple. When price starts out below the whole, I'm gonna call it the HMA because it's hard for me to say whole and not make it sound like whole. So the HMA, when price starts out below the HMA and closes as an engulfing candle, and both the 45 and the 200 are long, right? I guess you should start there, right? Step 1, which direction am I going, long or short? Well, this is green and that's red, so I'm not doing anything. Fine, we won't look at gold. Look at silver. Okay, and by the way, this is one of the great ways that you can quickly scan through your charts. If there's any conflict, to move on. A trading plan, a trading system should be 4 or 5 or 6 check boxes in order. And if you get to a spot where you can't fill in the box, you can't check, you move on. Every single thing has got to line up before you click the button. So in this case, I've got conflict between the 45 and the green. I move on. I don't even look at anything else. I go, oh, red, green, moving on. Oil, green, green. So let's take this as an example. Let's zoom in for those of you who are, oh my goodness. Is there some way I could make this bigger for those of you who are watching me on portrait mode? I don't know the answer to that. I'll look into that. Anyhow, you can see that 2 days ago on Wednesday and back on February the 3rd, we had a signal. So here's what the signal means. The 45 is green. The 200 is green. We are going long. We've got, number 1, we've got a thumbs up, a green light to go long. But that means we can't go short. One of the most critical elements, most foundational questions you can ask in any trade is, what is the trend? And only you're going to decide how you're going to play that. But what's the trend? And either go with it or against it. Don't ever go back and forth. Pick a direction and stick with it. Simplify. Oh my goodness, simplify. All right, so green, green, going long, not going short. So now I'm waiting on an engulfing candle. Well, here's an engulfing candle right here. An engulfing candle says that the body of today's candle is both higher and lower than the body of yesterday's candle. this strat, I don't know why I took my actual glasses off, my reading glasses. This strategy is more simpler than Forest is, but only if you understand the concept of an engulfing candle, right? Because it's just two moving averages, and then that's it. That's it. So once you know what an engulfing candle is, you're clear. So we're green. We're going long. Price opens below the 45 HMA. All right. Check box number 2. Check box number 3. It closes as an engulfing candle, and it did. All right, and that's it. That is your entire signal to go long. If I can show you one, look right here. All right, we had red. The 45 was red. The 200 was red. This is an engulfing candle. That was your signal to go short. It's that simple. And then one of the reasons that I love this strategy to teach people is because there's never a question about where do I set my stop loss, where do I set my take profit, where do I set my entry. They're always baked into the strategy. Your entry is the high of the day. One of the things this does for you, by the way, it is one extra layer of confirmation. You're waiting for price to get up there, to go higher before you get triggered in. And then your stop loss is the low of today or the low of yesterday, right? Whichever one of those is lower for a long. That's it. That's the entire strategy. And you can see on this one, well, TradingView thinks that I exited today for a profit, but I didn't quite get there because TradingViews and even though this uses TradingView as a charting platform, the data is slightly different. But you can do this without my handy-dandy tool. Now, if you're a member of our community, you can get the handy-dandy tool for free, but if you're not, then you can just recreate it. So I'm going to show you this. Here's gold. All right, on gold, you can see that the 200, I just made it green, but it didn't color itself green. The 200 is up, as you can see it's pointed up, and the 45 is pointed down. Conflict, moving on. Silver, clearly they're in conflict, moving on. Bitcoin, all right, both of these are pointed down. So, okay, that means I'm going short. And I don't need them to be colored red to tell they're going down. I can. How can I become a member? If you go to godlytrading.com, do I have a banner for that? I do. If you go to godlytrading.com, you can sign up for a free one-on-one call with me. There's a way, and then we talk and see if you are not qualified, but if you're a good fit for our community. And then it is 90. Nope, that's not it. Hang on one second, guys. Did I show it? I did. Godlytrading.com, and then we can talk. Sign up for one-on-one call. We can talk. See if you like what all it is. It's a monthly membership program, and you get one-on-one calls with me. You get our group accountability program calls twice during the week. That kind of thing. So back to the Bitcoin setup here. The 200 is short. The 45 is short. So check boxes 1 and 2. Then you're just looking for an engulfing candle. In this case, it's going to be a bearish engulfing candle, which means that you're going to have a red candle. The body is higher and lower than the previous green candle. If it was a bullish, it would be a green candle that's higher and lower than the previous red candle. You get the idea. So first things first, price has to, in this case, going short, price has to be above the 45. So like right here, let me zoom in, especially if you are on, I'm gonna do my best for those of you who are watching me on portrait mode on your phones. So price, so all of these candles qualify because price starts out above the moving average. And this candle right here, if I could draw on my screen, I would, but I can't. This candle right here is an engulfing candle. So this is your trigger. You don't need the indicator. You can just train your eyeball to see it. So your entry would have been here and your stop loss would have been here. And this would have been, let me see if I can measure this. This was oh goodness me. Oh, this is Bitcoin. All right. Almost $3,000 is the price here. $29.50. So that's what you're getting 1-to-1. So let's see, would we have gotten 1-to-1? 29, almost. We would still be in this trade. Hang on, down to there. Yeah, we'd still be in this trade, but we'd be almost to our first take profit. All right, fantastic. Let's keep going. By the way, let's verify that I found visually, verify this on my indicator, and boom. Actually, the 45 is different. don't get confused if you're using TradingView over here and TradingView over there. Just pick a platform, click a chart, and whatever it says, go with that. Ethereum, let's find one. Aussie CAD. All right. Let's see if I can show you what this looks like without the indicator. Aussie CAD. Boom. Everything's up, right? Green. All right. The 45 is clearly up. The 200 is clearly up. So we are going long. We are not going short. Now we're just looking for engulfing candles. Here's your one right here. So you can see that this green candle is as large or larger than the red candle next to it, and price started out below. That's all there is to this strategy. Entry up here, exit down here. What do I mean by green? Thank you, Polly, for telling me that. Over here on the TradingView chart that changes color, this HMA is green because it's up. This long HMA down here that you can't see because I've made it simpler is green. So you've got a 45 that is on an uptrend. Thank you, Polly. I should say that. 45 is signaling an uptrend. The 200 is signaling an uptrend. On my color changing HMA, they would both be colored green. Over here on my it's just a line, I can color it whatever I want to chart, I've got to actually look at the slope of the line and say, okay, they're both signaling an uptrend. So in this case, Aussie CAD, both of these are signaling an uptrend. Price starts out below the hole, the HMA, and I don't know why I'm self-conscious about saying the word HULL. It's a town in northern England. Anyway, you get an engulfing candle, entry above it, stop loss below it, and you can see this one we're in, I don't know, 3/4 of the way to our take profit. So you can look at this and find signals without needing the prime example. This one, both of the moving averages are pointing up, signaling an uptrend, but price is above it, so you move on. This is how I can, even before I had this indicator coded, this is how I could scan these things. You just train your eye to go, okay, moving average is up, price needs to be below it. It's not. Moving average is up, price needs to be below it. You get the picture. It is that simple to trade. I need to remember, y'all help me remember to show you the non-daily chart version of this. In the meantime, I just want to show you some of these signals. Just clicking on the chart and let it go back to however far back it wants to go, which in this case looks like the middle of October. So we had a signal right here. Triggered, probably got, all right, that was 31. So yeah, that one would have been a win right there. Signal here, that one's clearly a win. Signal here, this one's the one I'm in, and we are positive. Aussie Swiss, you can see here's all your signals. Those would all have been wins. Aussie Yen, I'm trying to find ones. All right, signal here, that one probably would have been a win. Signal here, that would have taken you a long time. You would have been a win. Signal, win. Signal, win. Aussie Yen, Aussie Kiwi, no signals. You don't always get a signal on this. Aussie US. There was one in particular I wanted to show you guys. I saw this morning. During January, I had an 80% win rate on this. Trying to show you what happens when, all right, here's your signal. You'd have been in this thing for a long time. You wouldn't have needed that signal because you'd have still been in it. That one's a win. That one's a win. Actually, take it back. Look at this one. This is what I'm looking for. All right, fantastic. One last bit of a rule that you can implement if you want to. These are the pure rules of this system. So you see right here, this is the CAD yen, the C8, the CAD. Polly asks, do you? Oh, Polly, I can't read without my reading glasses on top of regular glasses. Do you pick the engulfing candle in a window of time, or just any engulfing candle when the structure's in place? I wait for the candle to be closed or as closing as possible on any time frame. I'm going to jump down to the 1 hour chart here in just a second. I hope that answered that question. Do you pick the engulfing candle in a window of time? Okay. Yeah, by the way, I've traded this on the weekly chart before and gotten in on trades on Wednesday. And by Friday, price had pulled back and it was no longer an engulfing candle, yet I'm in this trade. So you really do need that candle to be either closed or as close to closed as possible. One of the reasons I trade this time of day is because it's 350. What are the odds that price is going to move and untrigger an indicator in the next 10 minutes? This is why I trade when I trade. Because the last thing you want is your signal to go away, and suddenly you take your signal and the signal goes away. You're like, oh, if I'd only been more patient, I wouldn't be in this trade. So right here on Friday, December 19th of last year, we had a signal. The 45 was in an uptrend, was signaling uptrend. The 200 was signaling uptrend, and price opened below it. Classic setup. So your entry would have been the high of this candle. And you think, well, this thing would have come down and hit your stop loss. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't, because this trade would not have triggered. The pure version of this strategy, and you can change the rules, take a strategy and make it your own. Test an idea and make it your own. But the pure version of this rule is, hey, you got one candle to trigger the trade, and then the trade has expired. For this very reason, the logic behind Frank is momentum. An engulfing candle means yesterday or previous candle. Let's take a long setup by way of example. Previous candle yesterday, whatever your time frame is, the sellers were in charge. They are pushing that price down and down and down and down and down. And then today, they tried to continue that downward momentum and failed. And not only did they fail, and not only did the buyers take over, the buyers took over and pushed price up beyond what the sellers could manage yesterday. That's what an engulfing candle is. It starts out down here. Be emphatic here. Y'all don't let me stay on this. All right, so you push price down to here, brand new candle opens either with it or gaps down, and then the buyers take over and just push the price up so much that it completely eats all of it undoes all the work that the sellers did the previous day. It's a candle of upward momentum, a bullish candle is. And so what you want for the strategy is for that momentum to continue. The very next candle, you want the buyers to still be in charge. That's why you set your entry at a buy stop, the high of the day. So, we stop here the next day and they pick up and they keep going. If they can't keep going, if one candle comes and goes and you can't put in a new high and trigger your trade, what does that mean in realistic terms? That means your buyers have lost all their mojo. And that's not a trade you want to be in, because you want a momentum trade. That's a signal for the momentum is gone. So in this particular case with this candle, one candle, and you can say maybe two candles, whatever it is, but this trade would not have been triggered. And therefore, what looks like a loss, right? If we set, here's our entry, here's our stop, this would have been a loss. Well, in my book, this would not have been a trade. Does this work on all markets? Or no, it works in all markets for this very reason. Hang on, Zach, I'm gonna put that up there. Does it work in all markets or just Forex? It works in all markets for this very reason. The strategy is one of buyer and seller momentum. That's all it is. I'm getting in because, in the case of a long, I'm getting in because, man, the buyers have taken over and I'm just along for the ride. This can be Tesla, this can be Bitcoin, this can be the NASDAQ. Now, it works better on, I like it better on Forex because there's no overnight gaps. But it doesn't mean it can't work on, in just a second, I'll switch over. Not only does it work on the daily chart, it also works on any time frame. So let me jump down to the 1 hour chart and show you. All right, this is a little bit difficult, so let me make this thing look better. All right, let's go with gold. Here's a 1 hour signal on gold back February the 18th. That would have been a win. Silver, same signal on silver. You'd have been triggered. You'd have been in this thing, and then there's your, all right, so this was this size. All you're doing is saying, hey, how big is this candle? Can I get that amount up? Why are you going for, Pepper, why are you just going for 1-to-1? Right now, this strategy, this is in its last step of its deployment. in a prop firm account. Once my 3 months here are done, and I've collected ideally 100 trades, I go back and look at those trades and I say, before I put this on the next level of trading, maybe it's a bigger prop firm account, maybe it's real money. Sorry, my money behind it. I go back and look, all right, I've got it at 1-to-1. Are there any rules, any tweaks I need to make? One of the routines, one of the check marks on your trading system, not your trading strategy, your trading system, your trade plan, is every interval, for Forest 15-minute gold automated robot, every quarter I review it. For Bob, daily chart, swing trading, every year I review it. At regular intervals, I look at all my notes. Are there any tweaks I need to make? Which, when this thing is done, when Frank is done with his CTI prop firm test in the real world, I go back, hey, this is all 1-to-1. What would, on real trades that I took, what would 1.5-to-1 have looked like? Better or worse? What would 2-to-1 have looked like? Better or worse? What would getting out half of my position at 1-to-1 and letting a trailing stop, move my stop to break? So you make a few little analyses to say, do I need to make any tweaks on Forest Gold Robot? I did that same analysis. I traded it all of the fourth quarter of 2025. Did great. Did its analysis and say, you know what? It's still looking good. All the settings, for the most part, need to stay where they are. However, I traded it last quarter at 2.5 the ATR for my stop loss. This quarter needs to be 3. Also, I was trading it from, I think it was 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. This quarter needs to be 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Minor tweaks. So when this is all done, I'm going to go to look at Forest and say, what is this, Frank? And say, hey, 1-to-1 got me this. What would 1.5-to-1 have gotten me? Simple, minor. You never, if you're going in the right direction, you don't want to veer off course too much. You say, okay, right, I'm trying to get from, if you're a cruiser like me, I'm trying to get from New Orleans to Cozumel. And we can go this way or that way or that way. You know, based on wind and tides, they'll all get us there. Which one is once I get there, hey, the tide's a different way. Let me go this way. That kind of minor corrections, not major corrections. There's no need. It was a profitable system. Now, if the system wasn't working, different story. All right, anyway, back to the 1 hour chart. Here's one that probably would have been a win, maybe depending on that measurement there. What is that? Oil, Bitcoin. Here's one that wouldn't have triggered. Here's one that would have triggered and would have been a stop loss. Ethereum, nothing there. Aussie CAD. You know, I mean, long story short, this thing works on multi-time frame. Again, here's the Aussie Swiss. Here's you a candle. Price didn't trigger. That's not a stop loss. Here's one that would have triggered, would have been a win. You get the idea. It works. Let me jump over to my watch list. Let me look at SPY on the 1 hour chart. Nothing there. Let me look at the what is DS Dow Jones? Nothing there. I'm just on the 1 hour chart right now. Triple Qs. Here we go. Here's the signal on the triple Qs. The NASDAQ ETF. Here's your signal. That would have been a win. That would have been a, if you're taking a couple of different positions, this would have been a, what is that? That's 2.19, and this is 10. That's a 5X. It's a 5-to-1 trade. Here's one, would have triggered and immediately stopped out. Okay. Let's look at, don't I have some stocks in here? I think I've got some stocks. Here we go. Look at some random stocks. Apple. Everybody loves Apple. Nothing there on Apple. Amazon. Here's your signal on Amazon. Again, 1 hour chart. Would have been a 5-to-1 win. Look, don't get me wrong. There are losses in this thing. By the way, find a way to minimize your losses. I did a test on this on I forget what time frame it was. Y'all forgive me. And it was okay. And then I made one change, which was, hey, if I get in this trade and the very next candle closes in drawdown at all, I'm out. And man, that instantly made that system way more profitable. Little ideas like this. One of the reasons I love talking to other people and having you guys ask me questions. It sparks ideas. Let's look at John Deere. This one's a special one for me because me and Rolando were in this trade and they had an earnings announcement and blew earnings out of the water, and the stock tanked, which is why I say you don't ever try to figure out the logic behind the stock market. Just do it what your chart says. Here's your signal, would have been a 10-to-1 trade. That's a signal. That one probably stopped out. The next one was a winner. I'm not saying that this system never fails. You're going to have losses. Even now, I am at 70. I've had 17 trades and I've had 16 wins and 5 losses. That's when I was at 16 and 4, that was 20 trades. That was 80%. Now I'm at 70 something percent. The point I'm trying to make with this is, thanks, Zach, for being here. Hey, look, if you're still here, you got to go. I got to go. If you want to jump on a one-on-one Zoom call, we can absolutely do that at any time. I'm happy to do that with anybody. Talk to anybody for any reason. There's a link. I hope it works on godlytrading.com. You can find that. The reason I'm showing this is, number one, people say, "Hey, do you have any? What are your?" This is one of my favorite systems. What strategies do you have? What's the best strategy out there? There's no such thing as the best strategy. Any strategy can be made to work on for you. Take it, test it. Oh my goodness, test it, and then see if. Don't give up on it if you don't like the results initially. See if there's any things you can make on it. If I have been trying to make a particular strategy work for 4 or 5 years. My white whale is the London breakout. Haven't been able to make it work yet, but every 6 months to a year, I pull it out and I try again and I try again and I make a tweak and I get an idea and I write it down, and then 6 months from now, come back and say, all right, let me test that out again. Any strategy can work. All it takes is creativity and discipline. Think about it. God created everything out of creativity and discipline, and he wants us to do the same. So what was the verse we did today? It's Colossians 3:17. Whatever you do in word or in deed, do all. Guys, I just forgot it. Colossians 3. And whatever you do in word or in deed, which is all there is, right? The things we say and the things we do. Do all in the name of the Lord Jesus. Not for him, but in his name. Giving thanks to God through him. We could spend an entire week dissecting what does it mean to give thanks to God through Jesus. Are we giving thanks to both of them? Anyway, we're not going to go there. Thank you, guys. I know I ran over 2 minutes over today, guys. I didn't want to. I didn't want to rush through this, even though I know it kind of feels like it. Thank you all for being here. I will see you on Monday.